Welcome, dreamer, to Evernight Classic, where stories wake with the hush of candlelight. Before we begin, if these calm moments mean something to you, consider subscribing so the next story finds you easily. Tonight, the rain softens against the window, and the room grows warm with amber glow. In this quiet, we step toward the secret garden, not in spring, as many remember it, but in the calm breath of autumn. Here, leaves drift in slow spirals, their gold and russet edges gathering along old stone paths. A wall rises in the dusk ahead, weathered, patient, veined with tangled ivy that clings like forgotten thoughts. Beyond it rests a garden untouched, waiting beneath the year's last light. A thin key glints in the mind's distance. A door hides beneath shadows. Somewhere in the branches, a robin shifts its small weight, its song barely a whisper. And at the heart of this quiet world stands Mary Lennox, a girl new to this strange home, carrying more silence than she knows how to set down. The air around her is cool, the scent of dry leaves rising with every step. Autumn holds its breath. The light fades gently across the wall, as if inviting her and us to come closer, to listen for what sleeps behind the ivy, to feel the warmth that waits even in neglected places. Tonight, we walk the path toward a forgotten door, and somewhere beyond it, the garden stirs. The wind drifts softly through the high grass as Mary steps closer to the wall. The stones rise above her like the edge of an old, forgotten world, rough in places, smoother in others, their colors deepened by moss and years of quiet weather. The ivy clings tightly, its leaves turning from green to russet, each one trembling as the breeze breathes through them. Mary lifts a hand, letting her fingers trace a line across the cold surface. The stones feel alive in a distant way, as if holding stories that simply refuse to be told too quickly. She walks slowly along the wall, her footsteps muted by fallen leaves. Some are crisp and light, breaking softly beneath her heel. Others are damp from morning frost. The path curves gently, and the light changes with it. Warm where the sun reaches through the thinning branches, cool where clouds drift across the sky. Mary notices the change without quite knowing why she cares. She has not spent much of her life watching light move across the world. But here, in this quiet place, such things seem to matter. The wind carries the faint scent of earth and wood, and for a moment, She closes her eyes. Her breath is a little longer than usual, a little deeper. When she opens them again, something small flickers at the corner of her sight. A quick, bright movement among the branches. A robin settles on a low twig, its red breast glowing softly in the amber light. Mary pauses. The bird tilts its head toward her, curious, unafraid. She stands very still. The robin hops closer, its tiny feet barely stirring the leaves below. It looks at her with a round, bright eye, as though it recognizes something in her that she herself has not yet seen. She whispers nothing aloud, but the silence around them feels like an invitation. The robin chirps, a single delicate note, and Mary finds herself stepping toward it. The bird does not flee. Instead, it shifts again, hopping from twig to ground, from ground to an overturned stone, leading her gently along the wall. Mary follows, though she tells herself she is simply walking. She watches the bird's small movements, wings fluttering once, then settling the tiny tilt of its head, the quick way it glances back at her. It is the first creature in this strange place that has bothered to notice her, and the first she has noticed in return. She reaches another stretch of wall, older than the last. Here the ivy thickens, its vines woven so tightly that the stones beneath disappear entirely. The robin hops onto a high root and sings again, a note brighter this time. Mary feels something subtle stir in her chest, a warmth she almost doesn't recognize. Not happiness, not quite, perhaps a soft curiosity, or the faintest sense of belonging. She takes another step. The path beneath her narrows. A cluster of leaves rustles, sending a golden drift swirling around her boots. She watches them settle, one by one, against the base of the wall. Her hand rises almost on its own, brushing aside a strand of ivy. There is nothing beneath it but stone, yet she lingers, as if expecting the wall to shift and reveal something more. The robin flutters up again, circling her once before landing on a branch just above her head. Its little song holds a certain insistence now, gentle but purposeful. Mary tilts her chin upward. "Are you trying to tell me something?" she murmurs, barely audible even to herself. The bird chirps back, almost like an answer. She steps away from the wall, watching the robin carefully. It hops to a different branch, then to the ground, then back again, always near the same spot on the wall, always looking at her as if waiting. Mary feels the faintest tremor of wonder, like a thread pulling softly at her attention. She bends down, gathering a handful of leaves, letting them fall slowly through her fingers. The robin darts forward, scattering them with a quick flutter. Mary's breath catches, not in fear, but in the strange new feeling that she is standing at the edge of something important. But the wall remains closed. The ivy whispers only with the wind, and the key, whatever key might exist, still sleeps somewhere unseen. The robin gives one last bright note, then lifts itself gracefully into the air, disappearing behind a row of low shrubs. Mary watches it go, her heart a little heavier, and yet strangely lighter all at once. She turns back toward the path, the breeze brushing her hair as she walks. Though she does not know it yet, her first step toward the garden has already been taken. The wind quiets as Mary walks away from the wall, and the hush that follows feels almost like a held breath, the kind the world takes when something delicate begins to change. Perhaps every heart has a locked door. Some are sealed by time, some by loneliness, some simply forgotten because no one has touched them in years. Mary has carried such a door for as long as she can remember, a place within her that has never known warmth or welcome. She has lived behind it, keeping the world at a distance, believing there is nothing beyond the cold stones of her own quiet. But sometimes, change begins not with noise, but with a small noticing, the way a bird pauses to look back, the way ivy trembles in the light, the way a breath feels different when the air holds the scent of something waiting. Perhaps the wall she touched today is not only part of an old Yorkshire garden, but a mirror of that inner place, a reminder that what is locked is not necessarily lost. Autumn has its own kind of tenderness. It is the season that gathers what remains, that softens edges, that teaches us how beauty can linger even as the world grows quiet. And maybe that is why the robin watched her so closely, not as a guide, but as a gentle witness, a small life recognizing another who has forgotten how to feel seen. The garden remains hidden for now, its key sleeping under leaves, or memory, or time. But something has opened in Mary already, and in the stillness of this moment, we are invited to open with her. Morning arrives with a pale, gentle light, the kind that seems to carry its own quiet. Mary wakes earlier than she expects, a faint chill brushing her skin as she sits up in the unfamiliar room. The house is silent around her, a silence so complete that it feels like part of the landscape itself. Something within her, something small and newly stirred, urges her toward the gardens again. She steps outside wrapped in a woolen shawl, her shoes crunching softly over the frosted ground. The air tastes of autumn and faraway rain. Above her, the sky is a muted gray, touched with hints of gold where the sun attempts to break through. She follows the narrow paths without thinking, as if her feet remember what her mind does not. The great house fades behind her, its chimneys lifting thin streams of smoke into the morning. Ahead, the trees stand still, their branches holding the last leaves of the season like fragile memories. She breathes deeply. Her breath curls in the air before drifting away like a small cloud. When she reaches the outer gardens, she stops, listening. The faint rustle of grass fills the distance, and then another sound, softer, a delicate trill, quick as the flick of a match. The robin. It lands on a stone post not far from her, its tiny form bright against the gray morning. The red on its breast glows like a small ember beneath the clouded sky. Mary feels a warmth rise up in her chest, unexpected, gentle. She steps closer. The bird does not flee. "You again," she whispers, though she hardly expects an answer. But the robin hops twice, tilts its head, and then flies off toward a line of hedges. Mary watches the direction of its flight, hesitating for only a breath before following. The path narrows. Long grasses lean across it, whispering against her skirt. The hedges grow taller, darker, weaving together until they form a small corridor of green and shadow. At the end of this corridor, the robin waits on a low branch, its feathers puffed slightly against the cold. It dives suddenly toward the ground, scattering a thin layer of leaves. Then it hops backward, watching her expectantly. Mary kneels. Her knees sink slightly into the soft earth. She reaches out and gently brushes aside the leaves. The morning light glints off something beneath them, faint, metallic, half hidden by soil and time. A key. Its shape is simple, old-fashioned, the kind meant for a heavy wooden door. The metal is tarnished, darkened by years of weather. Mary lifts it into her palm. It feels heavier than she expects, as though it carries more than its weight. The robin chirps again, bright, urging, and flies toward the ivy-covered wall she walked beside the day before. Mary follows, clutching the key tightly. Her steps quicken, not from excitement, but from a quiet purpose she has never quite felt before. The wall looms ahead, ancient and thick with vines. The cold stones hold the memory of every season that has passed since the garden was last opened. Mary stands before the section where the ivy is heaviest, the very place the robin lingered yesterday. She pushes the vines aside, her breath catching as her fingers touch something different from stone. Wood. A door, hidden beneath layers of ivy, its surface weathered and rough. She traces the outline of its panels with trembling fingertips, then finds the keyhole, small, rusted, waiting. She slips the key inside. It resists at first, then turns with a low, reluctant sigh. The sound is soft, like something waking after a long sleep. The latch clicks. The door shifts inward, carrying with it a breath of air warmer than the garden outside. Mary hesitates only a moment before stepping through. Inside, the world is different. The light changes, turning golden, muted, as though filtered through a veil of memory. Tall grasses sway politely around clusters of rose bushes, their branches bare yet graceful. Vines coil along trellises, quiet in their winter rest. A small tree stands near the center, its limbs thin but full of promise. Beneath her feet, the soil is soft, rich, covered in a delicate quilt of fallen leaves. Nothing moves quickly here. Every motion belongs to the slow heartbeat of a place left alone for too long. Yet there is no sadness, only waiting. Mary walks a few steps, her boots sinking gently into the earth. She touches a low branch of the rose bush nearest to her. The thorns are sharp, but the stems hold tiny buds, closed tightly against the autumn air, but alive, undeniably alive. She feels something shift inside her. A loosening, a quietening, a warmth so delicate, it feels like the brush of a feather along her ribs. It is not joy. She does not quite know joy, but it is near it, close enough to stir a soft ache in her chest. A breeze travels through the garden, lifting leaves in a slow, swirling dance. The movement catches Mary's breath. She looks upward. Sunlight breaks through the clouds, pouring over the garden in long, gentle beams. Dust motes float like tiny lanterns in the light. She sits on a stone bench, half covered in moss. The surface is cool beneath her hands, but solid in a comforting way. From here, she sees the entire garden, the twisting vines, the sleeping roses, the small open spaces where spring once bloomed and will bloom again. She imagines how it might look alive, green and full, branches heavy with leaves and blossoms. The thought surprises her with its softness. She did not know she still had room inside her for imagining beauty. A robin perches on the bench beside her, close enough that she can see each fine detail of its feathers. It chirps once, a light, encouraging sound. Mary smiles. It is a small smile, barely there, but real, and it reaches her eyes. The robin flutters upward, circling the garden before disappearing into the branches. Mary watches it go, the key still warm in her pocket. The silence that settles afterward is tender, protective, the kind of silence that holds rather than empties. She closes her eyes. The scent of earth rises around her. For the first time in a very long while, she feels as though the world is not entirely closed to her. That perhaps she too has a place that might bloom if tended with care. Above her, the sky shifts through shades of pale gold and deepening blue. Between the branches, light lingers like a promise. And within this hidden garden, Mary Lennox begins, quietly, slowly, to wait. The garden rests in its autumn quiet. Light lingers between the branches, soft as a held breath. Mary sits upon the moss-covered bench, her small figure wrapped in the hush of leaves and earth. Nothing moves quickly here. Not the wind, not the light, not the gentle stirring in her heart. For a long moment, the world seems content simply to be. The branches sway once. A single leaf drifts downward, and the air settles into a warmth that feels almost like welcome. Mary closes her eyes, and the fragile ache inside her loosens. Not gone, not yet, but softer, as though the garden has placed its quiet hand upon it. The light begins to fade. Colors dissolve gently, gold to amber, amber to dusk. The shapes of the garden grow blurred, watercolor soft, until they melt into shadow. And slowly, the hidden world drifts away. The bench becomes the hush of a wooden room. The branches become the reflection of candlelight on the wall. The rustling leaves become the whisper of rain. The lamp grows dim. The rain keeps its steady rhythm. If sleep has found you, let it keep you. And if you are still awake, rest in the warmth of this quiet hour, where stories close their eyes beside you. Until the next night, in the library of Evernight.